Imagine the sting of sitting there, pouring every ounce of yourself into your vision, your startup, your future, and hearing no time after time. Not because your idea isn't powerful, but because you don't have the numbers, the traction, the proof on paper that everyone demands. It cuts deep, doesn't it? You see others, founders just like you, seemingly riding a wave of investment, getting checks without having a ton of users or revenue. The pain of asking yourself, why them? What do they have that you don't? Feeling like the system is rigged, like the rules were made for someone else. That your brilliance, your fire, your relentless grind isn't enough. But here's the raw, unfiltered truth. They are getting funded not because they check off some magic box of traction, but because they understand something the rest don't. They get that the game is not about the numbers you have today, but the power you radiate beyond them. The secret lies not in your charts, but in your soul, your story, your capacity to own your future in a way that scares comfort and dares impossibility to show its face. This isn't about luck. It's not about privilege. It's about something most founders haven't been told, or have been told to ignore. What does that mean for you? It means your problem isn't your idea, your product, or your market fit. Your problem is your alignment with the few fundamentals that unlock not just funding, but unshakable belief from those who hold the keys. Let's unravel it now. The brutal keys that break the illusion of the traction-first myth and open doors wide to the few who dare to be real. First, understand this. Traction is a metric of activity, not potential. It measures what happened, not what will happen. Investors who fund without traction see the future not in spreadsheets, but in spark. They see a founder who embodies the mission so deeply, no system, trend, or competitor can dim their light. Traction can be copied. Anyone can buy users or show early revenue with enough hustle and luck. But that raw, unfiltered obsession and clarity of purpose, that is a wildfire, and it burns its own path. When a founder is funded without traction, it's because they have one thing the system can't fake: unshakable conviction baked into every decision, every move, every word. This foundation reverberates louder than any user metric ever could. You've probably heard investors say, "We invest in teams, not ideas." That's not a cliche. It's code for something much deeper. It means the founder's courage to face the unknown without being tethered to past outcomes. Investors want to see founders who own what's next with an intensity so pure it makes others feel safe jumping on board. The question then isn't, how many users do you have? But how well do you know what needs building? And can you convince others to join that vision even in the face of doubt? Traction as a number is evidence of a follower's game. Conviction as an energy is a signal of a leader's war. Guess which one funding follows? Next comes the hardest shift, the deep internal work. The fragility of waiting for traction keeps too many founders stuck in an endless loop of proving, tweaking, optimizing for approval that never truly arrives. But those who break free, who get funded without traction, have already dismantled their need for external validation as the definition of progress. They have learned to own their narrative fully, coming into rooms with a sense of self not tied to what's behind them, but absolutely powered by the vision stretching miles ahead. That is not arrogance. That is radical responsibility. It means standing in the fire of uncertainty, embracing the fact no path exists, and daring to forge one anyway with every fiber of your being. Here's where most founders get it wrong. They are trying to fit in the system, rather than redefine what the system should be. They chase traction because the world says it's the language investors speak. But the truly funded founders speak a different language, one of authenticity, mixed with undeniable value creation, where traction finds them because of who they are, not the other way around. They don't just say, "Look at my users." They say with their presence, "I am the future this market craves, even if you don't see the proof right now." When you talk like that, raw, human, and relentlessly focused, you become magnetic to the right people. Traction is then not a hurdle, but a trailing signal of the momentum you are creating on a human level. Now, Let's talk about connection. The system is fragmented, cold, and built to reward numbers rather than people. But investors who dare to fund founders without traction are often those tuned into something else, the power of alignment. It's not about firing off hundreds of pitches or chasing every lead. It's about connecting deeply with the few who see your fire and add fuel to it. Not followers, but fighters. A tiny network where ideas turn into movements. That's the invisible infrastructure the rare founders build. An infrastructure not measured in downloads or clients, but in trust, shared vision, complementary skills, and collective refusal to settle. Without that alignment, traction means nothing, because you're playing a solo game in a team sport. This is where mindset takes over craft. Many founders worry about scaling too early. Others obsess over perfecting the MVP. But the ones who defy norms understand that their task is first to become someone worth backing, beyond the product, beyond the market. And becoming means relentless critical questioning of every assumption about who you are and what the market expects of you. It means distilling yourself to the essence that can't be engineered or copied. This clarity creates a powerful gravitational pull. Investors want to be part of that gravity because it's rare, real, and transformative. It's not about arrogance, it's about sovereignty over your vision and future. Imagine flipping the whole paradigm. Instead of chasing evidence you don't yet have, build an unshakable foundation of belief from the inside out. This foundation is your secret weapon, your magnetic field that pulls people towards your cause. Sight unseen, investors can sense the difference between temporary sparks of activity and a founder burning with a relentless imperative to solve a problem that defines their life. That imperative eclipses traction every time because it speaks a language no chart can capture, a language of belonging to the future instead of being trapped by the past. It's also brutal honesty. If your whole self isn't in this, funds won't find you early. The founders who get funded without traction have already laid bare their imperfections, their risks, and their absolute readiness to be vulnerable and accountable. They don't just pitch a product. They share a mission that requires radical commitment and invites every investor to step beyond convenience into shared ownership of a future still being invented. That's magnetic. Numbers can lie, but raw, human authenticity does not. So how to embody this? Start by reevaluating what traction means to you. Don't idolize metrics or benchmarks handed down by a system designed to favor conformity. Ask yourself, what deep pain or need does your vision address that will not be fixed by incremental growth, but by revolutionary change? Who are the few people aligned with your intensity and willing to risk the known for the unknown with you? Focus on amplifying those connections, not counting users. Build trust with fierce believers, not passive consumers. Then, surrender the illusion that swift validation is the only path. Patience here isn't passive waiting. It's disciplined becoming. Find power in the long game. Invest in your clarity, your courage, and your ability to articulate your impossible future so vividly it becomes inevitable. Your traction won't come from ticking boxes. It will come from building that invisible force field of belief, trust, and vision around you. The system waits for the comfortable. The rare rewrite the system on their own terms and break through before the traction ever arrives. Remember, the world rarely invests in what's easy to prove. It invests in what's impossible to ignore. When that happens, traction is just a detail, a footnote in the story you're writing with every deliberate step. That story is what transforms isolation into alliance, doubt into conviction, stagnation into breakout momentum. It's what turns a founder's fire into an inferno that funding can't help but fuel. You've got everything you need inside: the fierce will, the uncompromising vision, the refusal to accept average. It's time to stop chasing illusions and start embodying the impossible. When that happens, investors stop asking for traction. They see it as inevitable because you have become the person the future is waiting for. And that, the unshakable force within you, is the real reason some founders get funded without traction. Because the future belongs to those who refuse to wait and dare to become more, even when the world says it's impossible. Hold that truth close. Chase that fire relentlessly. And watch the impossible open doors you never imagined.